Hello again, whiskey friends. Thanks for joining me today, everybody. And if this is your first time here, hey, why not check out the vibe, see if you want to become whiskey friends long term. For today's video, we are working on essentially doing a backlog of reviews of bottles that are typically on the shelf, priced between $25 to $40, just to round out our scoring system and get some more data in there. Today's review is one that can be hard to get depending on your area. I am going to do Buffalo Trace. This particular one is a store pick. The store picks usually bat a little higher than just the standard bottling, but I recently got one of these, so I wanted to do the review on the site. Now, I'm getting my Buffalo Trace from Northern Kentucky for context. There, it is more regularly available, even on the store picks. Usually coming across one of these once every 3 months or so, but I get it. Other places of the country, this is hard to find. But let's see, is it worth the hype or not as we go through this review? Thanks for joining, everybody. Let's kick off the show. All right. Let's get a little pour here. Cheers to Independent Joe on today's Glen. Cheers, buddy. So, as I said off the top, we do got a Buffalo Trace store pick here. This comes in at 90 proof, and it ran me, I believe, $33. I typically see them between 30, 35 when I do find them. Every now and then I'll see people kind of price gouge a little bit at 40, 45. I'll even see them at 50. I'll pass at them on those value on that value there. I'm just trying to buy these if they're 30, 35. But I do typically have one of these open any given time in the household. This is just something I like to keep stocked because I can get it in my area. So we're going to go through the nose and the palate, and then we'll get into the final scores. Cheers, everybody. Thanks for joining. So on this particular store pick, and really, I think most of them are in this range. The thing that I found with the store picks are maybe the varying degrees of oak presence, but the baseline flavors are all typically the same. The thing that shines through, just like most Buffalo Trace products, is going to be the cherry on the nose. Other flavors I'm getting here are just a caramel and some salted pretzel. The oak on this one's pretty nice too. I've been told before that the ages on these typically range between 6 to 8 years when it comes to these picks. This one might be in that 7 to 8 year range. That's about it though. Not getting anything else off the nose, just general sweetness. Everything about this profile is typically on the brighter end and the sweeter end. So let's go into the taste. Up front, once again, cherry, cane sugar, sweetness. The mouthfeel on this one is a little on the watery side, proof down to 90. I think you really feel it on this one. It doesn't coat too well, and I think that shows up again on the finish. Not too much of a finish here when it comes to how oily this thing is. Let's go in for another sip. Mid palate really does match the nose. Um, just talking about the cherries again, getting into the caramel, the salted pretzel, and then a little bit of that oak. The oak does have a bigger presence in the finish. So it does kind of start batting out that cherry note a little bit, brings the oak, but the sweetness is still there throughout. One more sip for the finish. On the finish there, same notes as before. Maybe there's a little bit more pie crust I got on that one, maybe bringing it into a cherry pie. But ultimately, the caramel, that salted pretzel still there, and then that oak presence. The finish itself, it's pretty instant. It hits you with those sweet flavors, but it dissipates pretty quick. All that's left now as I'm talking to you is essentially a sugary sweetness residue, almost like I had like a simple syrup, and I just took a little bit of that, and that's what's running down at this point. What I'm tasting on the finish. So, not a whole lot of complexity there. Not a whole lot of complexity throughout this whole thing. All right, one last sip. Yeah, I think that's about all I can say on that one. Let's bring up the official scores here. So here at Hello Again Whiskey Friends, we got a three category scoring system. There's a whole bunch of metrics behind this, by the way, but we just summarize it with these three. Got a flavor score that's worth 40%, experience score worth 50%, value score worth 10%. And then ultimately that adds up to the total score that you see on the screen. Anything between a 60 to 69 is good, 70, 79, very good, 80, 89. You're starting to get into excellent. And then if you can hit 90, now you're amazing. So this one sits here right at a 68. That's a nice, good pour. The flavors give it a better score than the experience. The flavors that you're getting, the cherry, the sweetness, the caramel. I mean, it is just inviting as all get out. Experience, on the other hand, there's not a whole lot of depth. The mouth feels nothing to write home about. The length of the finish is pretty average. So when it comes to the experience, that brings it down a little bit. But it's also $30 to $35, pumps it back up there. So you end up with this average here essentially at a 68. Would I recommend this bottle? Yeah, this is a 10 out of 10. This is just something I think everyone should try. Once again, I know it's hard to get in some areas, even the baseline Buffalo Trace product. But if you're ever in the area in Kentucky, I think you can find this pretty readily. So maybe that's just a reason to visit around. And I know some other states too are blessed with Buffalo Trace products. Do I plan to buy another? As I said on the top of this thing, I have one of these open at any given time throughout the year. So once I finish this one off, I go and open another. I've actually got about 6 Buffalo Trace store picks kind of bunkered, and I'm always just opening them. But typically, I'm finding them at a rate faster than I open them. So I have been putting aside some of the older ones from 2019, 2020, just to kind of sit on now at this point. I haven't opened to this point. Let's just put them aside and see how they taste maybe 10 years from now, and see if Buffalo Trace product has any type of flavor drift going on or profile changes as time goes on. So that shows you the overall thinking on Buffalo Trace. Just a nice $30, $35 bottle. Sits there right at a 68. Something that you could just crush at a picnic, nice summer day, put some ice on it, relax by a pool. I think that's kind of the context for that, with all the cherry flavors and the sweet flavors. Nothing that you're going to sit there and analyze, but just something that you'll enjoy every sip of and not have to worry about it. I think that's where Buffalo Trace falls. Well, thanks for joining me today, everybody. We'll see you later on the next whiskey review. Goodbye, whiskey friends.
Jeff, just be friends with me. But you have these whiskey friends, and you say hello again. Oh, Jeffrey, you should just be friends with me. But you have these whiskey friends, and you say hello